Hello and welcome to the Wayne Show on the Manitoba Sports Network. I got the head coach of the Selkirk Steelers, Dustin Hughes, with me. And Dustin, training camp is over, preseason is over. How do you see your team thus far?
Well, I think we had a competitive training camp, and we've gotten down to pretty much our group to start the season. And we had a couple good games against the Blues, and then a good battle with Steinbach, and looking forward to the start of the year.
How many players did you have in camp, and how many spots were actually available for somebody to take?
Well, I guess the easy answer to that would be we had a lot of returning guys. We had upwards of 18 guys returning, so there weren't a lot of spots to be had at the beginning, but we had a couple guys that did well enough to stick around and possibly earn some extra spots, and we definitely are looking forward to the start of the year with a group. Yeah, it's kind of been like that for the last few weeks, actually. Unfortunately, for it's kind of the toughest part of the job, having to let someone go, especially when we get down to this time where we're down to 23, 24 guys, and you can only dress 20, and we'll probably keep a couple extras for a little while. And but it's never easy when someone puts in a lot of sacrifice and time and effort and have to say goodbye.
But at the same time, I guess if these players that you've now sent down are going back to AAA, all they can do is get better, which will increase their chances for next year.
Yeah, in fact, we had a few situations like that where we had some younger guys really pushing for some spots on a veteran team, and probably talent-wise we're good enough to be here. Just we felt like it was in their best interest for them as hockey players to play in a situation where they're going to play big minutes and in key situations and learn the game a little bit more, and hopefully be ready to be a consistent everyday player next year.
What can we expect from your team this year?
What do I expect? I expect a motivated group that's wanting to prove that the last season and a bit was underachievement, and that the group that we've put together with a couple trades and a couple signings is a team that's willing to compete every night and have an opportunity to win every night.
Yeah, I just talked to Dallas Stardub a little bit here and Jake Dudar yesterday, and they were saying too that you guys are going to have to be physical on a regular basis. Is that how you see it too?
Yeah, compete level is something that is going to have to be there every single night. This is a very competitive league. There's really no weak sisters in my mind, and every single night, the two teams that are competing have to show up, and the team that competes the hardest and the smartest is the team that's going to win, because every team has talent, every team is coached well, and a lot of times it just comes to small details and your willingness to compete.
I asked this question to Jake Dudar. If you take a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being big and 10 being small, where would you rate your team?
Let's do both, actually. I think we definitely have some big players, but we also have some little guys that can move as well. Really, to be honest with you, the way we have it right now, we've kind of got some good size in different positions, and then we've got some smaller guys with some speed.
Do you have an NHL coach that you emulate your coaching style around?
No, I mean, I'd be lying to say that I don't follow what coaches do in lots of different leagues, but I try and I wouldn't say I've tried. I've developed kind of my own style that I feel works for me, and in saying that, I'm always still trying to improve and learn from different coaches that I coach against, see what they do, and coaches that I've had in the past or I've worked with in the past.
Do you have a favorite NHL team?
My favorite NHL team is the Pittsburgh Penguins, and not just because they won the Stanley Cup last year. My dad was a huge Pittsburgh Penguins fan when, I guess, back going to '84 when Mario Lemieux was drafted, and I was born in 1983, so he kind of raised me as a Lemieux/Penguins fan, and kind of stuck with him through thick and thin, and we're back onto the good side now.
So does that mean Mario Lemieux is your favorite player?
He was at one point, but in all honesty, just as my game developed as a player myself, a few guys that I looked up to were Joe Sakic, Steve Yzerman, but really when it came down to it, the two guys that I really admired the most and looked up to the most were obviously Sidney Crosby, I love a lot, and then Marty St. Louis was someone that I really looked up to as a player, and even to today. So unfortunately, he had to retire.
Yeah, well, those are definitely two good names you mentioned there. You played Selkirk Steelers in 2003, 2004. And I don't know if you remember, but here's a few stats for you. 18 goals, 32 assists for 50 points in 25 games. So that's 2 points a game. If you take that, would you expect your top players or your top player to kind of have those same type of numbers on a consistent basis?
So. It would be nice. I mean, I think the league is a little different than it was when I played. Not to take anything away from maybe what I had accomplished, because I am pretty proud of that season coming back and playing for the Steelers. But I think putting up 2 points a game is a little difficult in today's hockey, just because I think teams roll 4 lines more than ever, and I think, like I mentioned earlier in the interview, pretty much every team is very competitive, and it's some nights where maybe I would have got a 4 or 5 point night. I think those are harder to come by these days. But I think we definitely have some players that can produce, and looking for players to be near that mark would be ideal for a coach. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure. Hey, do you have a pregame ritual?
As a coach or a player?
Let's start off with the coach.
As a coach, I do a little bit. I'm trying to get away from being superstitious, because I think it can create a little bit unnecessary anxiety if things don't go as you plan or to your routine. But I think, like any hockey person, no matter what position you're in, I think there's always things that you kind of go to on a daily or weekly basis, however someone prepares, and I'm no different.
Yeah, I know. I talked to Dallas, and originally he said, well, no, I don't really think so. But yet at the same time, he says, I get dressed from left side to right side. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody has it, eh? So
I think most hockey players, I think, are just creatures of habit. And there's always, there are going to be people that don't do that. But I think the majority of people have it without even thinking about it.
you guys got a home and home with the Winnipeg Blues Friday, Saturday. What can we expect in that game, in those 2 games?
I think good competitive hockey. I think you're going to see 2 teams that are excited to start the year, and like I mentioned earlier, the team that's going to play the smartest and compete the hardest and pay attention to the little details is the team that's going to win. And I'm excited to watch our group compete on Friday night.
As I think I kind of mentioned a little bit before, and you kind of have already too, but Dallas was talking about you guys are going to have to skate and hit this year. Is that going to be kind of the message preached in the dressing room?
Yeah, we certainly have some offensive talent, but I think the one thing that this group needs to apply on a more consistent basis, just from me being around the team a little bit last year at the end of the year, is just the willingness to compete in all areas of the ice and be harder to play against. And I think that's the message that I'm sending to my guys, and I'm looking forward to see it being applied in the game on Friday.
Do you have your starting goaltender figured out for Friday night?
I do, but I'll keep that to myself for now.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, hang on to that one for you. But you do know who's going to be between the pipes. Right on.
Do I know it? Yeah, I do for sure.
Okay. All right, Dustin Hughes, thanks a lot for doing this. Appreciate it. All the best Friday, Saturday, and, of course, the rest of the season.
Thank you very much, Wayne.
Dustin Hughes, head coach of the Selkirk Steelers. You've been listening to The Wayne Show on the Manitoba Sports Network.